Like always, we're going to start off with the fundamentals. These are the fundamentals that I created, so let's kind of go over those. Number one is you can make up in skill what you lack in numbers. Again, guys, I'm a broken record. The more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the fewer people you have to talk to. The fewer people you have to talk to, the more freedom that you have in your life. I've never met a real estate agent who, number one, got into the business to be broke, and number two, who got into the business to work every weekend, to every evening, to work every night, to miss every kid's baseball practice, and to work all the holidays. I've never met anybody that did that, but a lot of people do that, and it's directly related to the amount of time that they put into their skill set. So you can make up in skill what you lack in numbers. Number two, the person who asks the questions will always control the conversation. Last week, I shared with you guys a technique that is one question that could handle every single objection. And for those of you that actually talk to me on a day-to-day basis and involved, it's typically in fact, the way that I came up with that training is that I always use it. So the person who asks the questions always controls the conversation. Number three, you cannot change a person's perception or belief, only they can. And the only way that you can change a person's perception or belief is by asking them questions. You telling somebody anything isn't going to help anything or isn't going to change anything. Number four, you don't have, sorry, my phone rang. You don't have a lead until you know a why and a when. You don't have a lead until you know a why and a when. You have a prospect, right? Now, you might be calling around just listeds or just solds. Now, these people own a home and they live in your area. What you don't know is, number one, are they looking to move? And then number two, why and when are they looking to move, right? So if you already know if someone's looking to sell, then you need to find out what their why is and when. What number are we on? Number five. When in doubt, mirror their objection as a question. When in doubt, mirror an objection as a question. You know, I'd like you to reduce your commission. You'd like me to reduce my commission? Silence, right? The next person who talks loses. This is great to work when you get an objection that you don't really know how to rebuttal, which is going to be like 1% of the time. 90%, 99%, I dare say, of the objections that everybody's getting, and I track them, right? You guys know that I ask for what the most common objection that you're getting in role playing. I ask about them, and I got to tell you, 99% of the objections are all the same, or they're a version of each other. 1% of the time, you're going to get some sort of off-the-wall, wacky type of objection that, well, it's going to be so wacky that you're going to have to repeat it anyways, just because you're like, this is crazy. Last one is that you'll never get better at anything without practice. Never get any better at anything without practice. I practice every single day, every single morning, every single day. I have people who are on my ISA team on this objection handling training. I practice every single morning on my craft, and that's why it makes me better than my competition. And then actually now the last one, everyone makes time for things that are important. Everyone makes time for things that are important. If you're not making time for something, it's because whatever you're going to be doing at that time is more important. I always get from agents about changing the time. Now look, we're a North American role play group in every time zone, and everybody seems to think that we have to allocate the time for their time zone. And my response to that is, look, it's not going to work out for everyone. Whatever that you have doing at that typical time is clearly more important than your practice, is clearly more important than have a group of people who are on the same page at the same time and coming together. I actually am impressed with the people who are on the East Coast that are role playing based on the West Coast time frame. So, you know, that's dedication. That's making time for things that are important. So without further ado, I want to share with you guys something. I'm going to stop this right here. You guys are going to be the first to see this. I haven't really implemented this as of yet to everyone. And this is a new page. Instead of having a bunch of different links, we have one page that takes everything to everything. So everything to everything. That really sums everything up. So everything you want to do is going to be on one dedicated page. So I constantly get people wondering where the sign up page is, where the scripts is. And so this will be updated weekly. It's something that I'll be deploying. For those of you that are on this call, you guys know about it now, but it's something that I'll be deploying here soon. So I'm going to go to the objection handlings for this week, and we're just going to hammer them out. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to start on Monday, which was yesterday. We're going to go into Tuesday, and we're just going to hammer out these objections. So, one thing I want to talk to you guys about too is that, objection handling is not just words, right? I think a lot of people get caught up on, hey, what do you say? If somebody says this, what do you say? And they think it's like a one-liner punchline, and it's not, right? So when I was coming up in the martial arts and a lot of this training, everything that I've put together for the training in this role-playing group, for the training that I have in my office, everything is derived from the things that I've done in the past. Now, I spent a lot of years in the Marine Corps. They have a very strict training regimen. That's where I get up, is that you make up, you make time for where you can make up in skill where you lack in numbers. What the Marines say is that the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. A little bit more gnarly. But I also spent a lot of years in the martial arts. And in the martial arts, you practice a technique over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's not just one technique, it's a lot of different techniques, right? So for those of you that's never been in the martial arts or anything like that, statistically speaking, if you ever were to get into a fight, the first punch is going to be thrown with a right hook. And the reason why is because statistically, there are more people who are right-handed than left-handed. So you'll know this because their right foot is going to be back and their left foot is going to be forward. And most people are not trained. And the people who are trained are not the ones who are typically instigating fights. So it's going to be kind of a sloppy right hook. Now, why am I saying that? A right hook, when I was in the martial arts, we practiced 10 different ways from Sunday on how to block that right hook. And the reason why you do that is not necessarily because you're going to do one technique. It's because your body and your brain are going to be connecting all of this stuff together so that if you're in a real fight, you're going to be able to be reactive, right? It's going to be a quick reaction time. You're not even going to have to think about it. That situation is just like this situation in role playing. I just dropped some NLP on you guys, for those of you guys that know that. That situation is just like this situation. You see, I tied it into something that you're familiar with. I told you guys a story. I walked you down the path. And then what I did is I tied that outcome, that feeling into this. So that situation is just like this situation. So the more that you know, it's not just the one-liners. You need to know the one-liners, but you need to know the techniques behind it, because that's how you're going to be able to respond quickly to these objections. So let's start at the top. So this was yesterday's. What do you do to get home sold? What do you do to get home sold? Okay, now, as we've talked about this before, you should not be having this objection at the kitchen table, okay? You should have, if you're going through the process of setting an appointment, pre-qualifying the appointment, sending a pre-meeting packet, and then confirming the appointment, this objection should have come up somewhere between that point, okay? That whole process is for you guys to actually get the objection so you can handle it, so you can just tee things up for a closing conversation, right? So I was talking to one of I just hired a new ISA, and I went through some training yesterday. And when it comes to agents, you guys are all agents. When it comes to having a conversation with an agent, 99% of the time, when you ask them if you want to meet, they're going to say, no thanks, I'm happy with where I'm at. 99% of the time, no joke. I record the calls, no joke. And so as we go through that process, what I share with them is that until you get past that objection, the conversation cannot go anywhere. So there's a lot of people who are just, someone will answer the phone and they'll just vomit words on them. And until you get to a certain point, until there's some common objections that have to be dealt, you're not going to go anywhere. Doesn't happen if those objections happen at the 30 seconds into the beginning of the call or 5 minutes. Until you hit certain objections, then you're not going to. No one ever has had a smooth ride. You're always going to have to deal with the commission objection. You're always going to have to deal with, what is it that you do to sell homes? You're always going to do that. So just plan on it, right? So what do you do to get home sold? So let's say that this is you're having a conversation. You went for the first closing for the time commitment, and they come up, well, before we meet, what is it that you do to get homes sold? You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that's a really great question, and that's a question that a lot of homeowners are really interested in hearing about, right? So I deflected, right? I'm talking directly to them, but I'm tying them in to a lot of homeowners. So what they're doing is right? I'm acknowledging, I'm making them right. So a lot of homeowners are interested in what I do to get homes sold. In fact, before we meet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you out my pre-meeting packet. And in that pre-meeting packet, it's going to outline my 22-point Brett's awesome way of selling homes, so that you're going to be able to review that in detail. Now, in addition to that, it's going to break down, my fee structure. It's going to share with you my credentials. It's going to have evaluation of your property. Now, it's going to be a very comprehensive, pre-meeting packet. Do you feel that you're going to be able to, if I send that to you and you get that to you before a meeting, would you be able to take 5 or 10 minutes to review that before we meet? See, I satisfied their objection, right? It's not that they want you to go in and spend the next 15 minutes explaining what it is that you do to get homes sold, because then there's no reason for them to meet with you. What they want to know is, how are you going to sell my home fast and for top dollar? And you answer their question by saying, I'm going to send you, now this is a level 1, right? This is going down 1 level. They hit the objection. They give me the objection. I rebuttal it. I go 1 level. My 1 level is saying, hey, here's my solution to your question. Here's my rebuttal to your actually, it's not even a rebuttal. It's my solution to their questions, right? And then let's say, well, what if they go level 2? Okay, if you send that to me, can you just share with me such and such? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that's not really something that's very easy to actually explain in just a short telephone call. But, one of the things I can share with you, have you seen my signs in the area? And they say no. Well, it doesn't matter what they say. They can say no, they can say yes, right? If they say no, I'm like, well, that's because I sell a lot of homes, right? I don't list property, I sell property. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And I think that when you see my in-depth marketing plan, you'll be able to see the differences between what I do and what others do. So do you think that if I get that sent to you, that we can meet sometime this week? Right now I'm going back to the tie down close. And then they'll say, sure. Typically people don't go down more than a couple of weeks. If you guys see me looking this way, it's because I have another monitor and I look at the next objection that's going on. Now, number 2, I've never heard of you. Why should I meet with you? Now that's today's objection. I've never heard of you. So typically a different way you can do this is, look, in Orange County, California, right, where I'm at, that's my primary market area. There are just over 17,000 active real estate agents in Orange County. Only 10,000 of them have closed 1 or more transactions in the last 12 months, but there's 17,000. Now, I'm guessing that they haven't heard of me and another 16,999 of them. I'm guessing that they haven't met that, okay? So that's the perception here, okay? Now, this is where I would respond with, you're not going to get this very often. This takes a driver personality to really kind of do this. This is something that I might say, I'm a sales guy. So anytime when I answer a phone and it's an unidentified number, I know it's a sales call and I'm just going to mess with them. I'm just going to take that call and see how they control the conversation. And really, who do it really, really well are the timeshare people. Whoever's training the timeshare people, they train them really, really well. So if you want to get really good at skills, I know that they're always hiring. Go jump into there, go work for them for like 30 days and just look at it as a free training program and just go hammer that, because you'll get over your fears and you'll get some really great training on that. So I've never heard of you. Why should I meet you? That's interesting. You've never heard of me. Kind of like you're a big deal. No, I haven't heard of you. Well, that's really interesting. I actually sell quite a few homes in your market. I've previewed every single home that's in this market. I know exactly what's going on. In fact, do you know the Joneses down the street who are listed for sale on XYZ Street? Do you know them? No, I don't know them. Yeah, so they're going to be your direct competitor. What about the Franks over there on ABC Street? You know, they have a really nice house. It's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They've been on the market for about 7 days. Do you know of them? No. Okay, guys, I'm doing this to showcase that I know what the heck I'm talking about, that I know what's going on in the market. The only way you're going to know what's going on in the market is if you preview properties. Yet again, I'm a broken record. For those of you that are in my office, they will tell you that, you know, I'm a big advocate of previewing property. But Brett, COVID is happening. Yes, you can still preview property with COVID. It's not as easy, but you know what? The last thing I checked is that everybody does easy. Nobody does hard. Nobody does inconvenience. And it's the people who do hard, it's the people who do inconvenience that are the one who are doing the activities that the other people aren't doing, which means that they're going to earn the income that others aren't earning. So I've never heard of you. Why should I meet with you? Well, you know, that's a really great question. The truth of the matter is I do a lot of homes in this area. You know, I talked to them about this, that. Now, do you know who, you know, John Jones is? No, I don't know who John Jones is. Oh, well, they're the ones who are listed the property over on ABC Street. Do you know who, you know, Jane Doe is? No. Okay. So you've never heard of them either, and they're actually in the market. So here's the deal. Are you looking to work with somebody that you know, or are you looking to work with someone who has a long time track record of not just selling a lot of homes, but selling a lot of homes in your immediate area that could sell your home for top dollar in the quickest amount of time? Guys, I just dropped some NLP on you guys. Are you looking for this, or are you looking for this? Infomercials do this all the time to us, right? They show you this image of how easy something is, and then they show you this image of how hard things are, right? Yesterday, my wife pointed out that we were watching an infomercial on a freaking wooden spatula. It was like a set of 3 for like $25, and they're talking about how easy it is to spread peanut butter, right? You overemphasize it. You tie into those emotions. So are you looking for an agent that you know, or are you looking for an agent who has a track record of selling homes for top dollar really, really fast in your immediate area? What are you looking for? Now, you guys know someone's going to say, you have to be prepared for whatever response they give you. Well, I'm looking for somebody he knows. Well, great. Well, you know, if it's right with you, I'd love to stop by sometime this week, take a look at your house, and maybe get to know you, so I can maybe be one of those agents that you know, like, and trust. Would you be available sometime this week for me just to preview the property? Or they're going to say, no, we're looking for the most qualified, the most experienced person who's going to sell my home fast and for top dollar. Terrific. You know, that's exactly the reasons why we need to meet. Do you think that we can actually schedule a time sometime this week where I could come out and preview the property and just, you know, get to know you and share with you some of the things that I do to get homes sold? Would that be okay with you? Same rebuttal, right? Just got to know which way this direction takes you. We want to wait until after the holidays. Okay, we've gone over this. For those of you that have been on this training, we want to wait until after the holidays. We want to wait until after the elections, which thank God is like in about 12 hours. We want to wait until after, you know, the next one here is we have to wait until COVID passes. So, you know, it's good to practice both of those. But the technique is the same, right? The rebuttal's different, but the technique is the same. What we're going to do is we're going to tie this into, right now, it's 100% probability that you will sell your home for the most money in the quickest amount of time. Right now, if we put the market on right now, 5 minutes later, your home's going to sell. Okay. But on the other side of the coin, there's a lot of uncertainty going into the other market, kind of this and that. Do you want this or do you want that? We're going into uncertainty market. Do you agree that we're going into uncertainty? Yes, I agree we're going to uncertainty. Do you think that COVID gives us a certain or an uncertain future? Uncertain future. Yeah, France, Germany, Belgium, all shut down again, right? Anyone thinks that that's not a possibility? Anyone think that that's not a certainty, that we're not going to do that? I would say that it's uncertain. If it happened once, it can happen again. That's what the whole thing of uncertainty is. So we're going into a time that's uncertain. The election, right? Do we, regardless of who wins, do we know what that means? Nope, we don't know what that means, right? Uncertainty. You know, all this money printing, everything that's going on, is that certainty for prices or uncertainty for the markets, or uncertain for the markets? It's uncertain for the markets, okay? So we know that there's really smart people that say it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows. We also know that there's really smart people that say it's going to be the exact opposite. So going back to my infomercial analogy, do you want to choose door A that gives you a 100% probability that it's going to be that you'll sell your home for the quickest amount of time for the most money? Or do you want to choose option B, where you have a 50-50 gamble that you can start chase the market down, or that you might make about as much as you would if you sold it now? Right? That's what it is. Same thing with wait until after the holidays. Same thing to wait until after COVID. Same thing to wait until after Christmas. I actually had a real estate agent that I talked to last week, wants to wait until the first of the year. I said, I totally get that. I get that from a lot of real estate agents. If you don't mind me asking, what is it about waiting until next year that's going to be good for your business? Wasn't expecting me to say that. You know why he wasn't expecting me to say that? It's because most people in my position don't say that. You want to know why most people, if you did that same rebuttal to a seller, if you're like, look, I totally understand it, but a lot of sellers are actually in that same position. If you don't mind me asking, what is it about waiting until after Christmas? What is it until wait until after COVID that makes you feel that that's an important move for you to achieve your goals of selling your home fast and for top dollar, right? Most people aren't asking those questions, and yet it's a really important question to have. So going back to my example is the agent, I said, do you want to start closing things next year, or do you want to wait to actually get started to work on trying to start close things? Like, no, I want to start closing things. Okay, so wouldn't it make sense that you actually start doing the activities at least 45 or 60 days in advance, because that's how long it takes to get a transaction closed? Well, yeah, I never really thought about it. The interesting thing is that we all think about it, right? A seller, do you want to actually sell your home in January, realize it for the top dollar in the least amount of time, or do you want to start strategizing at that time, knowing that we're going into an uncertain market? Same thing, guys, same techniques. I know how to do these because I'm in the game with you. I might be playing on a different field, but I'm in this game with you. We'll pay you a commission if you bring a buyer. Okay, going back to this one. This is probably a for sale by owner. This could be an expired listing that is now gone to sell by owner because they realize that they're selling their home overpriced. Guys, there's only two things that you can do to get a home sold aside from marketing, right? We know that 90% of the deals actually sell through the MLS, or something higher than that. I can't remember that exact number. But the price that you pay, the price that the market says it's going to sell for, and what comes with that price, right? That's how you determine value. What you get divided by what you pay equals value. So unless the seller is going to do a drastic renovation of their kitchen, unless they're going to add square footage, unless they're going to gold plate the toilet, their home's going to sell for what it's worth. You're not going to do anything magical that's going to adjust the market by 20%. The market's doing that. The Federal Reserve is doing a great job making sure that we have that every house looks like an iPhone release, right? That's what's happening. So we'll pay you a commission if you bring your buyer. This objection should not come up at the kitchen table, okay? And if this comes up, you should say, okay, if you don't mind me asking, actually back up. Repeat this as a question. Repeat what they say as a question. Okay, so you're willing to pay a commission if myself or another agent brings you a buyer. Yes. How much of a commission? Have you given much thought to how much of a commission you're willing to pay? Well, we're willing to pay such and such. Doesn't matter what the number is, guys. Doesn't matter, because in our buyer agreement in the states that I've been licensed, and it's been for, every single state says that a buyer's agreement, the amount contributed from the sell side is a credit towards the amount that you charge, and so the buyer is obligated to pay the difference. Not a lot of people know that. I don't know why, but when I was producing, I always made people know that, because if someone had a property listed on the MLS for a 1% commission, before we went out and actually showed that property, I would say, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, you have to know that if you like this house, you're going to have a 2% increase in your closing costs. Well, why is that? It's because my fee, as you guys know, when you guys signed your buyer agreement with me, the fee that I charge is 3%. Well, the credit that the seller is giving is offsetting it by 1%. So that leaves a 2% margin, which will actually increase your cash contribution. So before we go and see this, if you like the house, it's not a problem. I just want to make sure that I'm doing my fiduciary responsibility to you to bring that awareness to you. Do you still want to go and see the property? 9.5 times out of 10, they're going to say no. The other half times, well, let's just see what it looks like. Okay, nobody's going to do that. But anyways, we'll bring you we'll pay you a commission if you bring a buyer. That's fantastic. You know, before I actually show properties to people I represent as buyers, I have a policy that I have to preview them first, because if I don't preview them first, I can't sell them later. So is there a time this week that I could come by just for, 4 or 5 minutes, take a quick preview of the property? Do you have some time this week that we could actually do this? Well, why don't you just, if you have a buyer, just show them, do you want to sell this home, or do you just want to have this home for sale? Well, I want to sell this home. Okay. Well, if I'm going to go show a buyer a house, I also want to sell that home. Now, the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is by not winging it. And the way that I don't wing it is that I have to preview the home first, look at the features and benefits. You can give me the tour. That's fine. Show me what's so awesome about your property, so that I can actually convey that to the buyers that I represent, so that I don't have to just show properties. We can actually sell properties. Are we on the same page with that? We are on the same page with that. Terrific. So is there a time, sometime this week, that's convenient for you, right? Sometime that's convenient for you that I could stop by just for, 4 or 5 minutes? Well, I could probably do it after work on Thursday. Okay, after work on Thursday. So I'm looking at my schedule here. Looks like, what time do you get off work? I get off work at 5. Okay, so, would it be okay if I stop by for 5 or 6 minutes Thursday at 6? Would that work for you? Yes, it would. Terrific. Okay, guys. So that's what it is. I just literally just hammered out 5 objections. This is Tuesday. It's 8:59. I'm finishing on time. I'm getting pretty good at starting and finishing on time. So that's what we have. So practice those objections. For those of you that are on objection handling, you got a minute to get onto your call. I hope you guys have an awesome day. I have some cool training that's going to be coming up, some announcements that's going to be coming up in this group. So I want keep an eye out for that stuff, and have a great Tuesday. Talk to you later.